Hi everyone, it's me Cheryl. I hope you're all alright. Wow, I know it's been a long time since I've actually done a video. And it's not like I haven't had things to show you. I don't know, I just seem to be going to go slow. I think it's lockdown fever. Must be, that's what it is. Right, I'm trying to think of where to start. And I suppose I'll start mainly with the finished objects. Yeah, I'll start with the finished objects that you know about already. First one being the Tunisian ripple scarf that I mentioned in my last video is complete. And I finished that, I blocked it on the 9th of March. And I was almost finished in my last video in February. February? We're in May, aren't we? Oh my goodness. Well, that's half the scarf. That's half the scarf. And this is the other half. I haven't given it to my friend yet. I'd finished it, but I needed to block it, and that's why I didn't give it to her. So hang on, that was the 9th of March. And I know, yeah, so I was doing that. One time I think I forgot to bring it into Knit and Natter, and the other time I forgot, she was away, she was travelling. And then 12th of March was the last time I've been to Knit and Natter, so yeah. Tell you more about that later. All right, so that's that, and I really enjoyed doing that, although it did feel a bit long towards the end. I'm glad I've done it. I enjoyed doing it. It was a 2-row repeat, and it was a really easy pattern, and I enjoyed it. I think I already said I enjoyed it. Anyway, the next one, oh my goodness. I mentioned a corner-to-corner blanket. I don't know when I mentioned it. It was from a box of yarn I bought a long time ago, and I know I mentioned it, and I was looking through the descriptions of my old videos, but I couldn't see anything that referred to it, so I must have mentioned it in passing. I was starting to knit squares, and I had to decide. It was corner to corner square, garter stitch, and I had to decide how many stitches to increase to, and then start decreasing, because there were 25-gram balls. So what I did, and I think I remember saying this, I basically unravelled the whole yarn, got the two ends together, found the middle, knotted it and put stitch marker, and then knit all the way to as far as I could, and I found it was 46 stitches before I started decreasing, and that's what I did for the rest of it. And it took a long time, and I actually started piecing it together the 2nd of April, although I hadn't finished knitting all the squares. I do remember talking about it recently, because somebody asked me about how many squares was it going to take. That must have been last year. So I'd gone through my box and checked exactly what yarn I had in the right colour, and I'd plotted it on a spreadsheet because I wanted it to be, and I couldn't do random, but it was a pattern enough that looked random enough, and I managed to do. I looked at lots of different combinations. I had a maximum of 73 little balls, 25-gram balls, and with all the patterns, and because I needed a certain pattern, I knew I'd be using 63, so 9x7 or 7x9, whichever way you want to look at it. And I joined it together with, it was a slip stitch zigzag crochet. I don't know if I said that in the right order. Zigzag slip stitch, so it's crochet, and then I bordered it. Initially bordered it with single crochet, moved to half double crochet, and then realised on the 3rd round I wasn't going to have enough to finish it, so I went back and did a single crochet for the final one. But it worked. But also I did something else. This is it, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the photo, because this is heavy, and I've just tried to weigh it on the weighing scales, and it doesn't register as any weight. And I thought, well, is it too light for that, the regular weighing scales, the bathroom scales? Well, the thing is, I can't even put it on these scales here are kitchen scales, but the blanket's too big, I won't be able to read the display. I think what I need is one of them luggage ones. Oh, but where would I put it? I wouldn't put it through the yarn, but anyway, it's really heavy. I don't know if you can see the zigzag stitch there on the join. Oh yeah, I was going to show you what I did on the corner. Where is it? I did it. My goodness, excuse me. where are you? There we are. I managed to, here right in the corners, I did a front post stitch both times, and each time around in the corners, just to give it a bit of decorative edge. I fancy doing that. I did want to do it at every alternate stitch, but I thought I can't, well, it would have taken ages to find out whether each corner would have the right amount of, I needed an even number of stitches. But anyway, I've done it now, and I will show you the photo of it on the blocking mats, and that's why I wished I had more blocking mats. I've only got 4 and I had to spread them out, so there was no blocking mats underneath the blanket in the middle. God, that's huge. It's heavy. Oh my goodness. So I'm glad that has finished anyway. And my last video I said I was making hats. It seems to be going very slowly. I don't know why. Right. So I was doing a mistaken rib hat, and I want to do it in the round because lots of patterns are in the flat, and I want to do it in the round. I've had 2 patterns in the flat. The one pattern which was in the yarn weight I'm using had what I would say the right amount of stitches, to be honest with you. I didn't like the decrease rounds on it. It's only 2 decrease rounds, and I thought, no, I want a bit more shaping than that. So I went for the other one, which had, I think it was 18 total decrease rounds. But the actual main body of the pattern was exactly the same as the other one. But the stitches confused me, and I'm sure I mentioned this last time. It said to cast on 120 stitches, worsted weight yard? What's a yard? Worsted weight yarn on 4.5mm needles, and I thought, 120 stitches? No. I wanted to use a DK weight. So I did that, and I decided to use a 3.5mm needle instead of a 4.5mm needle. And I still thought 120 stitches was too much, and it turns out that was right, because the first hat I finished, 120 stitches, 3.5mm. I was knitting the body of the hat before the 18 round decrease, and I was thinking this is going to be too long. So I stopped the body of the hat sooner, and then regretted it because it ended up being too short. And I finished that round about the 11th of March, because I took a photo of it then. And this is it. So it's a little bit too short, and a bit too big because it's 120 stitches. So this would fit a person's large head, and maybe as a slouch. I don't know. But it's because it's too short for a rolled. That's why I mean, here's me talking about slouch. But it's too short to have a turn. That's what I mean. So maybe as a slouch, it would fit a large person's head. Right. Also, what I was basing it on was, this is why I also thought the stitches were too much, because this is the Ribs and Cable Beanie by Anne Gangon, and it's done in a worsted weight yarn on 4mm needles, and that seems to work great. But I knew 120 stitches in a worsted weight yarn, even though it's on 4.5mm needles, it's going to be too big. So I'd already tried to make an adjustment there by using a DK weight yarn, which is smaller, and 3.5mm needles, and it still seemed too big, but short in the length. Okay. Oddly enough, this has the same amount of decreases as well, so that's what I was basing it off. But I panicked. It did look, well, actually, yeah, it's shorter than that. Look at that. You could see that poking out through the bottom. So I panicked because it looked too long, but I should have continued. So the next hat I did, it's like Goldilocks. We're talking about Goldilocks here now. So this is hat 2. I worked on 108 stitches. So the reason why is because the decreases were worked on a 12 stitch repeat. Okay, 3.5mm needles, and I made it too long because look, I went overboard. I thought I can't win, so this roll is it's just too long. Oh my goodness. But it also still feels too big in the head, so I'm thinking, well, do I need to do? 96 stitches. Well, that's what I'm thinking now. Although I've started 2 hats. Let me show you. I'm still using up that yarn because I had 2 skeins of this, you see, so I knew I'd get 3 hats out of it. 108 stitches, 3.5mm needles, but it's going to be between the length of this one and this one. But really, I'm starting to think now, oh no, I'll continue. I don't know what to do, actually. I've already done that so far. Because even the second one, which has 108 stitches, it's still... it's lacking body. I think maybe if it was worsted weight, it might be better. But this one might be better. This is the one I was beginning to do at Knit and Natter before we stopped going. So it's the same yarn brand. I think it's Yarn Fair. Wilkinson's don't sell it anymore. Shows how long ago I got that. Either 2013 or 2014. This is 120 stitches, and now I'm beginning to think I need to pull it out and do 108. But it's on 3mm needles, and it feels the right density. But the reason why I'm not sure about pulling it out just yet is because it is on, rather than 3.5mm needles, it's 3mm. But then 120 is too much. Maybe I just need to go to 108. It's a bit of a dilemma. I haven't done much really, not compared with this one. So I'm not really sure. Finding a place to put them that they're not going to just tumble off for the moment. Yeah, hat number 2, 108 stitches I felt was too much on 3.5mm needles. And I've gone and done the same here. And now I'm looking at that thinking, maybe 108. Oh no, it is 108. So maybe 96 for this. That won't give the density. This feels right in the density. It feels like, you know how you do a worsted weight but in 4mm needles. That's how it feels it should be. That's how this feels to me. It doesn't feel airy like the other one. So that's a worsted weight in 4mm needles, and this is a DK weight in 3mm needles, and it feels dense. Right. But I still think 120 stitches might be too much. Maybe I'd be better off with 108 stitches on this one. Yeah. But I also feel like I've gone too far with this one to pull it out. Because with this one, 3.5mm needles, I would maybe do 96 stitches. However, it would still be the airy-fairy feeling. It's difficult. I'll think about it before I do any more on it. But another reason for the go slow is that I've been doing some colouring. I know this isn't a colouring channel, and a lot of people are going to go, eh. But there might be some colourists out there, and I did a page and I took 11 months on it. I procrastinate a lot, and if I don't know how to do something, I'll watch tutorial after tutorial after tutorial, and that takes the time. And then finally I'll pluck up the courage and do it, and I finally did it. And if you're my friend on Instagram, you'll have seen it. And then I'm almost finishing another one, which I started in August. I'm pointing there because it is there. But my youngest son, he keeps giving me guidance. I show him it thinking, I've finished. And then he'll say something. And he won't say it's horrible or anything like that, but it's very constructive and it's guiding. And I don't know what to do. And I'm sat there and I'm thinking, well, I don't know how to achieve that. So that's what it is, that's my issue. Whereas I think, on the other hand, because I'm such a novice, I'm looking at it thinking, that's bloody brilliant. It is. So, am I setting myself up, too high when really I actually like what I've done? I really do. But yes, I know light and light direction and reflective light. Is that something you learn as you go along? But anyway, that's what I've been doing as well, and I want to do more because I've accumulated supplies. You know how you accumulate a yarn stash and you go mad, certainly in the beginning. I've been going mad elsewhere as well. I do now look at my yarn stash and think, and sometimes I think, I want to do a project, and then you haven't got enough of that particular yarn to do it. And I don't really want to buy more yarn. The only yarn I want to buy, really, not at the moment, but when I start doing it, is plain sock yarn in a couple of different colours to do the heels, toes and cuffs of some leftover sock yarn. That's all. That's really all I want to do. But it's awful when you come across a project and you've only got like one skein of yarn and you need 3, and you're like, yeah. So you have to forget about that project and move on. So, yeah. And I don't need to spread myself too thin either. Right, so I haven't been to Knit and Natter since the 12th of March. We were going to meet on the 19th, but I could see lockdown was imminent. And I thought, I don't want to risk my friends. They're all in the 70s. And I'm like in my late 40s. And, you know, there's a lot of senior citizens in our town. I heard someone years ago from this shop. They said it was a silver community. Now I know why. But there's a lot, you know, I don't want to risk them getting unwell. And I don't want to risk me getting unwell as well. And CJ and David. Because, like, I have hypertension, so I'm a risk there. My husband's older than me, and he's male, so he's a risk. And CJ's disabled. Now, I don't know if he's really a risk per se, because of cerebral palsy. I don't know if that's a risk. But then again, he needs to rely on other people to look after him, and if we're not around to look after him, he can't do it himself. So he's a risk in maybe by association, but I don't know about anything else, whether he would be a risk, because he's quite healthy, and my goodness, he gets over colds so fast. It's because he's playing on the floor all the time with his toys, and he picks up loads of dirt, so I think he's built up his immune system. So, about Knit and Natter, one of our friends, she'd barely been there just before Christmas. She had, but she was waning, but there was one thing after another, busyness, and I know she got flu at some point. And then after Christmas, she still wasn't too well. And then she had to have some surgery in February, which we didn't know. Like, it wasn't planned. It was planned once something was discovered, but it was too late, and she declined. And she died on the 11th of May. And we couldn't see her. We couldn't visit. Luckily, I did phone her. I did speak with her. After her, she had cancer, but it was so rapid. And I did speak with her after her first chemo session. It was a few days after, when she was just starting to feel a bit better. None of us could see her because of the lockdown, and we didn't want to risk anything else. Her getting unwell from possible COVID infection, you know, if any of us were carrying it, we don't know. And of course, she has a funeral on this Friday, but it's a private one, which we understood and we knew. So what we've decided as a group is, when lockdown ceases and we can get together, we're going to get together and celebrate our friend. But it's like we're never going to see her again. So, pardon me for the tears. I think nice things. I taught her how to knit socks. It was lovely. We did a mini sock together. I was working through it while teaching her how to knit socks, because she wanted to make some for her husband, but she's allergic to wool. And she didn't get around to doing it. Oh. And she was a really good student, and I wonder if that's because she was a teacher. She was a textiles teacher. So I wonder if that's because she was a teacher that she ended up being a really good student. She wrote every step down And I was like, I love teaching her. It's fantastic. Oh, I was going to teach her how to do Tunisian crochet. She wanted to do that as well. I'll have to do it in my dreams. We can meet up in my dreams, okay? But anyway, it was just so sad that none of us could go and see her because of the situation right now. We're really, 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 we're all going to miss her. She's so lovely. Some good news. My youngest son and his girlfriend got engaged on the 2nd of May. That's the day after our wedding anniversary. So that's lovely. I'm so happy for them. I knew it was imminent. I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't exactly know when. So, oh, that's so good. I'm glad he actually didn't tell us exactly when he was going to do it. Like, Thursday is the day, or whatever day the 2nd of May was, I forgot. But I think it was a Sunday, was it? When was the 2nd of May? I'll find out later when I finish this video. But he didn't actually say, oh, I'm planning on this time. It was like months ago he mentioned he was going to do it soon. So, oh, isn't that lovely? I'm going to have a daughter-in-law. And do you know how many times I've almost slipped up in these videos and said daughter-in-law already? It's really strange, and I've had to stop myself and say my son's girlfriend. Now I can say my son's fiancé. Is it fiancé for male, or is it the same pronunciation? Or is it fiancé? Ooh, I'll have to Google it. Fiancé doesn't sound right. Fiancé. Is it the same pronunciation for the two different spellings? That extra E. But, yeah. Oh, I'm so happy for them. Oh. I wonder what their wedding's going to be like. It's going to be really interesting. But anyway, I don't think they're going to get married this year, and, well, I hope they're not going to get married this year because everything's, like, shut down, so I hope they leave it till maybe at least next year. That'd be nice. But obviously it's up to them. They might have a longer engagement, who knows? But, yeah, this year's, I think, might cross this year out. But unless they just get married themselves, that's fine. If that's what they want to do. So, oh, I'm really happy for them. Thank God. And I can say my daughter-in-law, nearly. Oh, no, I can't yet. My son's fiancé. Can I say daughter-in-law? Or do I have to wait? But the amount of times I've nearly slipped up. Oh, my God. Anyway, I will leave it here and upload the photos I need to upload where necessary. I've got some in my eye. Oh. And I will see you next time. I don't know when that will be, I'm sorry. And I hope you're all okay and surviving lockdown, coping with it, and yeah. Weird times, eh? Anyway, take care everyone. Bye!